Seong-ho is busy training Dingo. He instructs it to repeat the actions he just taught. When our boy calls for a paw, Dingo places it on his owner's hand. Then the wolf runs as instructed, sits, lies down, and stays quiet, following every command our hero gives. Lastly, he throws a big piece of bone into the air, and Dingo successfully catches it with a leap. Our protagonist feels satisfied as he notes how quickly it learns, likely because it is from another world. He reflects on its excellent scent tracking skills and, in his mind, considers Dingo a bundle of luck and a blessing. He cares for his adorable companion with a kiss and starts to say something, but his phone rings. As Seong-ho picks up the phone, he sees a message from Hyung, who suggests searching levitation on the web. Later, our hero finds an article about a person being called the first superhuman, someone who claims zombies and monsters will soon appear and bring disaster. That article has reached rank 1. In the comments, people are skeptical, believing the broadcast channel did this only for ratings. He notes there are many who know nothing about eras, but the Awakeners are clearly alarmed in the comments section. He finds it amusing how some get upset when little information is shared, and others get angry when what they know becomes widespread. Next, our protagonist wonders how the government will react. He is aware of people holding rallies about shock and superpowers, but snaps out of it, deciding not to get involved with such matters. Though he implies the government will eventually act once the second omen, the Hobgoblin event, occurs, Seong-ho decides not to waste a moment. He tells Dingo that from today they will begin exploration. Deep down, our boy knows thorough preparation is the only solution, and Dingo seems eager for it. Later, they enter the portal world, and Seong-ho reflects on why he chose interdimensional exploration with Dingo. He lets Dingo sniff a small pouch and orders it to find it. The first reason for this type of exploration is to prepare for the upcoming Hobgoblin event, as he needs Dingo to properly imprint the scent of goblins. Meanwhile, Dingo barks, having found the flesh in the bushes, and our hero feels proud that it tracked it down from just a lingering scent. The second reason is to test if Dingo can stay calm in live combat and follow commands. So, he signals, and the wolf immediately dashes forward. With great precision, Dingo hunts a rabbit on the grass, and our protagonist praises it. The third reason for exploration is to confirm if hunting is possible in the other world. Seong-ho approaches Dingo to inspect its prey, observing the dead rabbit and noting its strong claws and large size. Afterwards, our boy and his little wolf continue exploring. Moving ahead, he wonders what Dingo's cognition would look like as stats. He decides to head toward the valley to verify it himself. Then, a system window appears, notifying him that Dingo's health has increased by 1. Remembering his own health stat as Kimbafo was 170, our hero is impressed by how fast Dingo is growing. Suddenly, Dingo begins to cough, and our protagonist rushes over to offer water. He reminds his partner not to go alone into the woods. Dingo drinks, while our boy spots a large green pepper nearby and wonders if it ate that. The system reveals it is called bull pepper. Seong-ho is pleased to find it in the woods and praises Dingo, promising plenty of treats later. He digs to harvest the bull pepper. Next, they set out for their final hunt. Both of them sit on rocks at the edge of a stream. This time, Dingo doesn't detect any unusual sense or presence. Deep down, our boy reflects that red trout aren't monsters and don't give points or items. However, he believes it's essential for young Dingo to gain experience, which is valuable. After hunting red trout, our protagonist decides to finish preparations for Phase 2, then return home. The following day, his entire restaurant is demolished. The manager of the demolishing company tells our hero to contact them within 3 days if there are any repair issues. He thanks the manager sincerely for working so early in the morning. Taking a deep breath, he feels a bit sad to see the place destroyed, but knows it was necessary. As he steps inside, Seong-ho assumes that after the apocalypse, those who don't turn into zombies will likely loot stores. He admits he would do the same, so he has no right to complain. As he starts cleaning up, Hyung appears behind him, observing the empty room. Hyung mentions he's also left only the bare minimum equipment. When our boy wonders aloud why Hyung is there, Hyung snaps his fingers against Seong-ho's forehead, angry that our hero left the previous day without a word. Now, Hyung says, he came just to check if Seong-ho is even alive. Meanwhile, Dingo watches Hyung with cold eyes. Hyung wonders aloud if Seong-ho always had a dog, but he explains that one is long gone. He adds that this is his new pet, and Hyung calls the wolf adorable. Then, Seong-ho asks again why he is here, and Hyung repeats that he only came to check on him. Our hero doesn't believe that, so Hyung shares another reason for his visit. He admits he was worried, but also reveals that he's found the people behind the attack on Mi-kyung. With that, only 17 days remain until the apocalypse arrives. Sitting down with Hyung, Seong-ho learns that the party organized by Kim Cheol-jun, the man known for always wearing a hat, is actually targeting Mi-kyung. Hyung also mentions that the tow truck, which our boy dislikes, is involved with their party as well. He points toward the mountains in front of them and asks if the area near the base of the mountain is where redevelopment halted, adding that their hideout is situated there. However, our protagonist is curious how Hyung was able to discover all this, and Hyung explains that the clues simply lined up. He states that Han Jin-seong, the one who can levitate, had recently appeared on a variety show, and Hyung had asked him directly. Han Jin revealed he had met with Cheol-jun's group before, but their members were all unpleasant, so Han Jin refused to stay with them due to conflicting personalities. After what happened to Mi-kyung, all the female members started leaving the party. When questioned about their departure, those women only said they had received offers from other Awakener parties. Hyung asks for Seong-ho's opinion, and our hero responds that, unlike Mi-kyung, the other female members must have been tricked into joining. Hyung then suddenly reveals that their party is now down to 4 members, including himself. This revelation stuns our boy, who remembers there were 20 members just days before. Hyung does not elaborate, but he knows that now their party has only 2 Awakeners. Seong-ho struggles to process this, recalling that they had done favors for those members who still decided to leave. Yet, Hyung remains composed, telling our protagonist that this is simply how things are. Those people were just looking after themselves. More than this, Hyung says he is worried about little Ji-eun, debating whether or not to contact his ex-wife. Our boy keeps a straight face, knowing their situations are not the same, and he wants to know if his own thinking is correct. He wants to ask Hyung something that has been on his mind. Our protagonist wonders, if the apocalypse really comes and people start threatening Hyung, what would he do? Before he can finish, Hyung cuts him off, insisting he would not hesitate to kill them. Hyung says he has a principle against hurting others, but in a disaster without law, there would be no other choice. He believes that in such times, there is no space for evil to survive. Then, Hyung curiously asks why Seong-ho would bring up such a question, noting that it does not seem like him. Our boy does not provide a real answer, and right then someone yells for help. The sound comes from our hero's cell phone. Hyung wonders if it is the sound of a lost child, but Seong-ho checks the map and asks Hyung to look after Dingo for a while. Elsewhere, Mi-kyung is surrounded by bad guys and appears to have sent a distress signal. The enforcer tow truck, On and Hak, mockingly asks Mi-kyung why she is causing such a scene, demanding she come down. In response, Mi-kyung stands on the edge of a rooftop, shouting that she already refused, but they kept chasing her. She demands to know why they are doing this. Onin urges her to reconsider, but Kim Cheol and Ma Jong-in step forward, insisting on handling things their way, and pointing out that, since they are in a redevelopment area, nobody will come to Mi-kyung's rescue. Kim Cheol tells her not to waste her energy, and reminds her that they all have traits, then starts a countdown. Meanwhile, our boy is preparing his weapons, hiding in an alley. At the count of 2, he slings Kim Cheol, and on 3, Kim Cheol is struck. All the group members are confused, trying to figure out who is attacking them. Suddenly, our protagonist appears in a helmet and steps forward to strike On-in, debating whether or not to reveal his identity. Using the Indian War Club, Seong-ho hits On-in hard, then immediately goes for another member. This person emits black energy, making our hero suspect he has a vision-blocking trait, but Seong-ho is able to strike him anyway. Now, our hero is breathing heavily, and when he sees Mi-kyung, she warns him to watch out. He turns and sees Kim Cheol coming at him with a bat, which hits and damages his helmet. Seong-ho is shocked by the destructive force behind the attack. At the same time, Kim Cheol realizes who he is, but our boy is deep in thought, recognizing that Kim Cheol's offensive trait is extremely powerful, even at the early stages. Kim Cheol vows to cripple our protagonist, and his group members rise to back him up, determined to unleash their full strength despite being non-awakeners. On-in charges at our hero with electricity, mocking him as he approaches. Seong-ho is unsure what to do as his opponent shows off all his skills, and he wonders if he should use the dimensional gate. Just as On-in is about to strike, Dingo appears and bites On-in's arm. Hyung steps out from an alley, asking if this is really appropriate in broad daylight, and suggests the group should leave if they don't want trouble, stating he is calling 112. All the group members decide to retreat for now. Hyung comments that they look weak but still act arrogantly. Next, Mi-kyung comes down and immediately grabs our hero's head, checking if he is alright. She notes that his helmet is cracked, and Hyung offers our boy a piggyback. Seeing them both worried, Seong-ho's thoughts flash to his old comrades from the game. When Mi-kyung suggests a hospital visit, our protagonist turns away and insists he is fine. He then asks Hyung if they can bring Mi-kyung into their party. Hyung says it is not a problem as long as Mi-kyung has no objection, and she happily agrees. The hero leaves, saying he has some things to do, while Hyung and Mi-kyung are left wondering why he is acting so strangely. After returning home, our hero concentrates on controlling his emotions and planning for the second stage of his preparations. His abrupt departure was unavoidable, and seeing Hyung and Mi-kyung together made him feel like he could trust them with the secret of his abilities. But the decision was already made. To make the most of the dimensional gate, our boy must level up quickly and focus on gaining skills and farming. The phrase, "crush them with item power," echoes more strongly after fighting the mountain gang. He realizes that if he prepares for the apocalypse as planned, there will be a 3-level gap or more, causing monsters that respawn near him to be stronger and making it harder to team up with his 2 companions. He keeps working until he finishes installing a wood-burning stove in his hideout, knowing this will help him sleep well at night. Dingo enjoys the stove too, sleeping soundly next to it. Now, our protagonist has just a few more things to install when they arrive, and his initial hideout setup will be nearly complete. Determined, he decides to pull an all-nighter. With that, there are 16 days left until the apocalypse arrives. A news anchor updates viewers on the asteroid observed earlier. According to the report, the HSA has announced that Yunjambi has entered the midpoint of the solar system. HSA is closely monitoring its trajectory, but the meteorite was split by Jupiter's gravity. In response, the head of the Meteorite Observation Department, Thomas Chandler, informs the public that the two fragments, Yunjambi Alpha and Beta, have no chance of approaching Earth. However, Seong-ho remembers that on D5, just 5 days before the apocalypse, Yunjambi Beta was the first to fall. It landed near a Russian ship in the ocean, and the resulting tsunami swept the ship ashore at Gamcheon Port, which is how zombies first appeared in Korea. The news anchor continues, reporting on the Uido shooting incident. President Jang Won-taek has not left his residence for a week, prompting opposition party leaders to issue a joint statement declaring their agreement to hold a hearing. Some people are now saying this is connected to the rumors about awakeners and the impending disaster. Listening to this, our boy admits to himself that it really is the end of the world. He thinks it's a good thing that the media is finally showing interest in these matters, and concludes that it will be more difficult for awakeners to commit crimes now. Next, he decides to check the community's reaction on his laptop. As our protagonist scrolls through the comment section, he sees that people have shared strong opinions about the situation. By coincidence, he spots a comment from My Dream and wonders if this person has been active all along. My Dream was a player known for being friendly to beginners, and Seong-ho's group had played with him a few times. My Dream's ambition was to build a bunker, and if our hero didn't have a portal, he might have been tempted to join. He decides not to enter any contract unless his veteran friends join My Dream, but he bookmarks My Dream's comment for later reference. After closing his laptop, our protagonist looks forward to building his second shelter. The next day, Seong-ho stands in front of his hideout and realizes it's possible to pull 2 all-nighters in a row. He feels exhausted, but seeing his completed exterior gives him energy. It's time to figure out how to use the electricity generated by solar panels. Simply put, there are several wiring steps to make the electricity compatible with his electronic devices. Luckily, when our boy puts his phone on charge, it works. He raises his arms in delight, announcing that he has now built the foundation for survival in this world. For the first time in a while, he feels a rush of dopamine. Yesterday, he also collected luminous and ignition stones, and after further digging, he found a mineral harder and sharper than obsidian, called emerus. Although it's currently useless, he still considers it better than nothing. He decides to install LED lights later, but before sleeping, he needs to organize the food supplies in the basement. Suddenly, a loud noise from Dingo grabs his attention. Rushing outside, Seong-ho finds Dingo facing off against maned wolves, a type of monster he recognizes from Sura. He wonders why these creatures, which usually live in high-altitude areas, are here. Observing Dingo's anger, our hero suspects these might be the wolves that killed Dingo's mother. He tries to calm Dingo, but deep down, he knows he can't defeat all the wolves at this moment. If he moves to fetch a better weapon, he risks exposing his back and being attacked, which could be fatal. Therefore, our protagonist decides to focus on making the alpha wolf leave, knowing the rest will likely follow. He observes the wolves' super cautious behavior and notices they only move when the alpha acts first. Next, he considers whether they can coordinate an attack. He also notes that these wolves are extremely sensitive to scents. Fortunately, Seong-ho has pepper spray with him. If he can spray it on the alpha, he'll be able to drive it away from the shelter. Sweat trickles down his face as he considers the risk of being attacked before he can act. He wonders if there's a way to distract it and strike with the spray. Suddenly, an idea comes to mind, and he believes it is logically possible. Determined to defend the hideout he built with his own hands, our boy braces himself. He instantly throws a knife at the alpha, but it dodges. The alpha then leaps at our hero, but when it gets close, Seong-ho opens the portal and, seizing the chance, sprays the animal. The alpha loses composure, and then our protagonist drives his knife into its eye. With that, the wolf pack retreats. Our hero sits down, having narrowly escaped death. Dingo comes over to care for him, and Seong-ho pats Dingo's head in appreciation. He promises Dingo that he'll avenge its mother in the future. With that, only 15 days remain until the apocalypse arrives. Finished with organizing the basement, Seong-ho went over to the hardware and pharmacy store with the goal of finishing minimal defense supplies. Bro has gone 68 hours without sleep by now, and dealing with the wolves on top fatigued him more. Still, Seong-ho thinks that he may have gotten lucky in that previous encounter. If those wolves were werewolves instead, this dude would have been molested straight up. He even thinks that he may have gotten careless, only caring about the monsters closer to him, without considering different variables that might occur randomly. Forced into a corner, Seong-ho entertains the idea of expanding the land and building a proper shelter. His surveys with the drone point him in the same direction. Hyungjin welcomes our boy from afar, while Seong-ho is still lost in thought, believing that he could secure more space for farming and storing supplies with his new plans. Once he's finished establishing a second line of defense, he's going to aim for Bluetooth beacons for an increased signal range. His friend keeps calling his name and snaps Seong-ho back by asking him what he's doing here. Keeping it simple, Seong-ho replies that he's here to purchase a bunch of stuff. Jimbro thinks that he came to buy some weapons, which is a strange assumption because they're standing in front of a hardware store. Hyungjin reveals that he's not the one interested, but rather this gorgeous baddie is interested. She's one of the members of their team. After purchasing his stuff, Seong-ho learns that his buddy over here ran into this girl, and he's trying to stop her from purchasing weapons at the store. But this girl's pretty stubborn about her decision. Seong-ho thinks it's better to hand her the short summary he chalked up. But even after showing it, this girl still doesn't buy it at all. She's staring our boy down with an icy glare, which freaks him out to the point he calls her out. Suddenly the girl speaks, remembering that this dude is actually the owner of the Teokbokki restaurant, to which our boy confirms that he is. She's really stunned by his appearance and his shift in personality. Seong-ho assumes that she thinks he's being rude and apologizes, but she reaches for her wallet and hands him a card instead. This young lady is Jo Soo-yeon, and believe it or not, she's actually a doctor. Talk about being intelligent and hot. Right after figuring out that she's a doctor, Seong-ho taught her the basics of the game, in the same manner he did with Hyungjun and Mik-young. The doctor concludes that she doesn't really care. She thinks that the game doesn't really have a scientific answer to it. Seong-ho confirms that it's just a brain-dead game, but Soo-yeon's not finished yet. One thing is bumming her out. She instantly points out that he's an awakener himself. Our boy's a little bummed out by her assumption, but Soo-yeon is pretty damn smart. She can tell that his explanations of the game are so vivid that there's no chance in hell that this dude hasn't played the game. Soo-yeon doesn't pursue the thought any further and thanks our boy for his summary. Meanwhile, Hyungjun is out here feeling jealous for not explaining things properly. The doctor hilariously tells him that he doesn't even compare to the level of depth that Seong-ho has about the game. Grateful for his help, Soo-yeon befriends Seong-ho for being a good person. Another pretty baddie added to the harem roster. The very next day, our boy is back in his room cleaning his spear blade. This new weapon looks pretty good, and he's curious to test it in battle. Seong-ho's initial setup is now complete, so he calls our favorite dog Dingo and explains that they're gonna go avenge his mother. It's not exactly revenge, but still, it's gonna be a huge problem if some intruder discovers Seong-ho's hideout. That's why they need to act quickly and take care of those dangerous people quickly. In the next scene, John Wick and his dog are ready to kill some bitches. On this mission, Dingo's got an important role to play. Currently, they're staring down a pack of wolves, but strangely, there are only 4 of them in sight. The really interesting part is the lack of an alpha wolf among them. Upon closer inspection, Seong-ho realizes what's really going on. An owlbear is ferociously tearing apart the wolves' flesh, having slaughtered a few of them together. Seong-ho thinks this guy is pretty convenient for cleaning up a bunch of them. The thing about the manned wolf pack is that, the moment it loses its alpha, the pack crumbles without a leader. Their senses are scattered and they become very confused, leading to a lack of coordination. This is the perfect moment for our boy to take each of them down one by one. Speaking of which, one wolf rushes towards him, but Seong-ho casually deploys his web trap and catches it with ease. The same ferocious wolf is reduced to a puppy, wailing in fear of being devoured. But these cheap tricks won't work on our boy, who instantly kills it with his spear. Now I kinda feel bad for the wolf, but we gotta secure the mission. With one wolf down, 3 points are gained. The remaining 3 wolves are drawn to Seong-ho's presence as he runs off. All 3 of them become hyper-aggressive and start chasing after them. 2 scatter from the side while 1 lunges from up top to secure the kill. But not to worry, bug spray to the rescue. Seong-ho downs 1, but he's still being attacked by 2 others from each direction. First, he clocks his right, plunging the spear deep inside the wolf's belly. The other one tries to use this opportunity for some backshots. Except Dingo comes to our boy's rescue with a powerful tackle. With another wolf killed, he gets 3 more points. Seong-ho menacingly declares that he just needs to stab each of them until they're dead. Bro isn't in danger, he is the damn danger. With a bunch of wolves defeated, our boy reaches level 5 and gains additional effects to his special trait. Curious, he inspects his gate's properties. The new feature is that his gate is now invisible to everyone else. Then there's a projection effect allowing him to hear sounds from any projected location. To test it out, Seong-ho casts the gate immediately. This time, he can actually see through his house without having to travel to the other side. The transparency works too, so no one's going to be able to detect his ability anymore. Besides, Seong-ho was worried that he might have accidentally crossed into a dungeon without knowing about the threat level through his gate. But thanks to this projection effect, the risk is eliminated. The fact that this effect sprung up at level 5 also implies that more effects wait for him as he reaches higher levels. He never even assumed that these unimportant levels could hold rewards for him, but still, he's got a lot on his plate that he's got to do. Starting with burying the corpses of his victims, the wolf pack. 2 days after the subjugation of the wolves, our boy marked down and did a bunch of things. Firstly, he went to the other world and conducted another survey with his drone. Setting the radius around 1 kilometer, he was able to find a bunch of different but harmless animals. Even now, there wasn't any sighting of a goblin or even a kobold. No monsters at all. Next, Seong-ho aimed to obtain information about the goblin nest 30 kilometers away. That kind of nest is supposedly large enough to have a bunch of hobgoblins too, which means defeating them will be really difficult. Now that he'd gained real confidence about their safety, Seong-ho felt that it was just the right time to start expanding. Bro became Chainsaw Man alongside his version of Pochita and mowed down the trees, clearing the area, flattening the ground, and transforming the same hideout into a proper shelter base. Dingo was the MVP. He helped create a large circle acting as a boundary. Seong-ho played it extra safe and even set up 2 whole layers of barbed wire fencing alongside a moat. Now he just needed to dig it 2 meters deeper for a combined effect with the wire. While he was doing all of this, he also watched TV thanks to his projected portal. The government freshly announced plans to carry out a proper investigation into awakeners. In the real world, Seong-ho actively bought materials from hardware stores. He visited multiple home renovation stores to obtain tool sets. Then on the way back to his place, he even spied on Cheolchen's hideout. If that wasn't enough, Seong-ho even went on a limb to rent a motorcycle and a mini excavator that he could eventually use with added training. The little blue toad continued to be an excellent support for him. Seong-ho routinely injected a small amount of poison to build up resistance, but eventually he had gathered enough of it to merge with a weapon of his choosing. In his room, he finds himself completely shocked. Survivor 1, a dude with literally 4,500 hours spent on the game, joined the mission. This made Seong-ho wonder about the Uido shootout, alongside the government's shady control over the media, even the incidents of the president's behavior being cooped up in one place. All 3 of these events may look like coincidences on the surface, but our boy knows that it's much deeper than that. His initial theory has always been the same, that Survive 1 is collaborating with the president and his safety, but that's only because he thought this guy would know about the background story taking place. Survivor 1 is supposed to be an item collector, so this guy definitely would have asked for a huge shelter from the president in exchange for the information. He also picked his target of collaboration carefully, choosing the president to gain the highest leverage and authority. The situation is complicated. Seong-ho wonders if this is all just a huge bluff, but then again, my dream doesn't fit. His contemplation is starting to cause a headache, but Seong-ho has reached an answer. If both Survivor 1 and My Dream are collaborating, then our boy intends to change his personal strategy as well. In the next scene, we watch Mr. Four Eyes creating a new score and VR ID. He wonders if he's going to get a response back, because it could lead to a postponement of his plans. My Dream actually responds really damn fast, because some of these gamers are allergic to a job or social life, I guess. Even Bro thinks that this guy is unemployed, but he really wants to check if this guy is legit or not via the VR chat. The chat is initiated, with My Dream joining the White Room. Classroom of the Elite fans will get this reference. Both players confront each other. My Dream is particularly annoyed with this dude's unknown alias. Even when he agreed to come here, this guy is out here wearing a stupid duck face. The offended duck apologizes and doesn't care. My Dream takes it as a sign that he's dealing with a veteran who wants to hide his identity, but Duckface keeps him in the dark. My Dream tests him with 3 important questions. Only then will he acknowledge this stupid duck. The first question is regarding the maximum jump height of a werewolf, to which our boy fires back immediately with 3 meters. He even knows about an owlbear's weakness, which is basic as shit. Light is the answer. Finally, the evolution stages of zombies alongside their forms. Duckface responds that instead of having infection abilities, these zombies consume actual nutrients for their functioning. Accumulating the nutrients allows them to evolve into ghouls. Interestingly, some even become enhanced zombies before that stage. My Dream then pitches a 4th question, despite claiming that he was going to ask only 3. Our boy refuses to tell him the exact number of precursor events in the story. With this, the player laughs, admitting that Duckface really is a veteran. Our boy is pretty annoyed and demands this guy to hit up Survivor 1 and make him join the call. However, that can't happen right now. My Dream doesn't even give a reason, to which our duck-faced protagonist calls straight up bullshit on. Changing topics, this guy tips his fedora and hints that something is about to happen very soon. Our boy is starting to think that this guy might actually be crazy at this point. It's almost as if he's saying filler lines to stall for something. Suddenly, a chill runs down his spine the moment he realizes what's going on. My Dream exits the chat, while our boy realizes that this dude was actually doxing him the entire time. Right then and there, a man enters the cafe with 2 security guards, ordering them to lock the doors. The receptionist emphasizes that they're supposed to make a payment over the counter for their allotted time, but this guy straight up grabs her arm, emphasizing that they're here to find someone instead of playing games. The one part that bothers Seong-ho is that My Dream is supposed to be playing it chill and undercover, but strangely he's going on the offensive. By the way, this guy's ability is similar to Lelouch from Code Geass, being able to control the receptionist's mind. Anyway, our boy is in a pickle. He's got to make a run for it, because if he's caught, the same will happen to him. so he heads over to the restroom and pops open the dimensional gate ability. Meanwhile, the guy searching for him is going around spamming his mental ability on everyone for Seong-ho's identity. So far, they've checked every area except one, leading him to the restroom. The guy is supremely confident that our boy's hiding here. Opening each stall, he wonders if this dude is a stealth-type assassin. You know, it's gonna be really funny if this dude whacks open the door and finds a random guy shitting. Anyway, my dream is pretty confident dealing with stealth-type monsters. He splashes a bucket of water to scan the environment, sensing any uneven edges. He's also flailing his hands, hoping to find Seong-ho. The thing about our boy is that he did summon his gate, but luckily he laid it flat against the wall. Actually, this guy is currently standing face to face with the same portal. He just can't see it. After his inspection, my dream confesses that his assumption of our boy being a stealth user was wrong. That leads him to a second conclusion, that Seong-ho must be a movement specialist. Budget Nanami orders his group to scan the whole area, reminding his men that there's going to be a big reward for his capture. Observing the situation from his portal, Seong-ho confesses that despite being rich in reality and humble in the game, he didn't want to come to this state of things. He actually thanks my dream in his head for making everything clear. All this time, Seong-ho had been conflicted, but now, he's damn near certain of what he has to do. Revealing himself, he intends to fight pettily, and will no longer hold himself back from responding to violence. His opponent sighs, questioning where Seong-ho is hiding in secrecy. He's operating under the assumption that this guy is movement-based, but even then, a veteran with tons of hours accumulated won't be that easy to track. Hilariously, our boy pops up from behind like a ghost and says hi. My dream notices him in the mirror as Seong-ho lunges right in with a spear strike. The poisonous spear slashes his leg, and within seconds, he is influenced by its effects. This guy was trying to aura farm all this time, and one slip-up resulted in his doom. Without confirming his identity, our boy slams his face into the wall, reminding him that he's not supposed to turn back. He then mocks the guy for the pain of the poison that is currently coursing through his veins. Every time he tries to talk, Seong-ho reminds his bitch ass to shut up. Next, he clutches his blade, stating how the apocalypse and tutorial hasn't even begun yet. The same goes for the murderer system. Saying so, Seong-ho slashes the guy's gun wrapped around his belt. Adopting a serious and terrifying tone, Seong-ho brutally declares that he won't even get penalized if he kills him right now. His blade hovers around the guy's neck, but he stays quiet like a good boy. Seong-ho is impressed that this dude knows how to shut up for once. His body flops, despite being conscious. It won't move for a while because of the poison. First question, Seong-ho inquires why this dude was trying to sell out Survivor 1 and targeting innocent people because of it. Instead, the same dude who tried to hunt others was now just a paralyzed victim, a pathetic monster that could be farmed without lifting a finger. My dream curses Seong-ho, who takes his gun and reminds him that this is the price he'll pay for even entertaining the idea of capturing him. Our boy grabs his knife and chillingly threatens to actually kill this guy if they see each other. After this, Seong-ho ended up escaping the cafe long before my dream's group arrived. He safely made it home and then went to the other dimension. Here, he took apart the gun and began inspecting this guy's ID. The guy's name is Kwon Kyung-jun. He's in his late 30s, runs a golf club, and actually controls 3 bunkers through them. Finally bros a sugar daddy to multiple women, which means he gets all the bitches and the bread. For his abilities, Seong-ho assumes that he's got something really powerful based on the number of hours he spent on the game. The skill is related to mind control, that much is clear. All of this useful information is now Seong-ho's to use. Of course, skills aren't supposed to improve just because someone spent a few thousand hours in the game. Even Valorant and Counter-Strike no-lifers spend 10,000 hours only to remain hard stuck. Anyway, Seong-ho understands that the game always valued survival above everything, so his own portal skill is basically a cheat for veterans. For now, he wants to keep this a theory until he's able to confirm another veteran's skill. Next, Seong-ho tests the gun, contemplating that the apocalypse was soon to come. He's certain about one thing with absolute conviction, and makes his way through the forest following Dingo's lead. Here, the dog barks at an interesting area. Dead bodies of police officers alongside a bunch of goblins are just lying around. Keeping his composure, our boy checks on the status of the bodies. Turns out one of the officers is actually alive. Though he doesn't have any fatal wounds on him, he's been hit with a paralysis poison effect. But the more worrying part is his missing weapon, even though it's also possible that he never had one in the first place. In any case, Seong-ho puts both bodies together and tells them to rest here for 30 minutes for the effects to subside. Then he turns his head around to inspect the corpses of the goblins. From first glance, he spots a bunch of bullet holes, which confirms that the police officers actually did have a gun. The big question is, why is the gun missing only? After thinking about it for a while, Seong-ho reaches a revelation, suspecting that this is the work of a gold goblin. But that excites him, because he really wants to hunt it down for himself. With the new plan set, our boy proceeds to dial emergency service through his phone. He'd also left a note with the precise location and even instructions to bury the goblin corpses. Seong-ho understands that monsters are already a thing in the eyes of the public, so playing the safe and stealth game is pointless. Right now, he's in a fight against time, and he's hoping that this tiny murder machine over here can help him out. In a different area, a fight is breaking out between a goblin and a non-awakened person. The goblin dodges his swing and gets away. There are 3 of them left, while the homeboy questions his captain if this is really the right way to go about things. He doesn't get why he has to play the role of a tanker when he doesn't even have any abilities to begin with. The captain uses his skill, having an edge in psychokinesis. The only problem with this skill's casting is that it takes a while to actually use. Bro's got a bunch of rocks ready and now he's throwing them to smash the goblin's body. He's playing the part of support, while his buddy asks when the rest of the party members are going to arrive. His captain hears that the party went up to the Gyasan mountain, but apparently they've been stopped and were unable to climb up the mountain. This is a striking revelation to the average Joe, who doesn't have any abilities. He wants to retreat, but his captain believes they should push on. 3 goblins jump the guy and are about to beat his ass, when more rocks smash their faces and divert them. The good thing is that these goblins aren't as strong as they were in the game. The captain simply tells this guy to keep pushing while keeping composure. As long as they can deal with a bunch of monsters and capture the hobgoblin group, they'll end up with a significant advantage. Mr. Psychokinesis is so busy lecturing his buddy that he drops his guard and gets whacked by a goblin's mace. Now that his hand is fucked up, this guy can't control his ability. Even more is how a shitty goblin managed to outsmart him with a counter strategy. Yeah, if I was him I would just give up. Now that they were completely defenseless, the 3 goblins surrounded them and began to lunge from every direction. Things were really looking like the end of the road for these amateurs, when suddenly a bolt shot right through the goblin's head. A second and third shot follows and injures the other 2 goblins. Much to their confusion, the party of 2 has no idea what's going on. They look into the dark forest, questioning where the arrow even came from. In the next scene, our boy is seen with his combat bow. At first, he contemplates if he really made the right move to step in and waste his ammo. At the same time, Seung-ho is just glad that he was able to confirm important information regarding the Awakeners. First, he learned that these guys were being prevented from climbing up the mountain. Second, he encountered a group of goblins who were already pretty weakened. Using these 2 strands of information, Seung-ho concocts his next plan. He's already prepared a method to deal with the goblin group. His strategy is actually very simple. The idea revolves around provoking the goblin, which can be done by throwing a stone. After rage-baiting the green-balled midget, he'll draw the goblin towards the dimensional portal gate with simple cues. When the goblin is close enough to the gate, Seung-ho will release an attack from the other side, with the obvious advantage of being able to see through his gate while also remaining transparent in front of others. With the first goblin severely injured, it will scream and grab the attention of its allies. Using the same dimensional gate as a wall, Seung-ho will forcibly pull his spear back, out of the goblin's body, erasing all evidence of his attacks. Now let's discuss the reaction of the hobgoblin, who already has a high perception stat in the game. It will notice its dead subordinate, and immediately point fingers towards the other goblins for plotting its death. This will form chaos within the goblin group, causing disharmony and leading the other goblins away from their leader. Using that key opportunity, the calculating Seung-ho will materialize from the other side and cut their heads clean off, maintaining the clear advantage of making the first move. The same will continue in repeat fashion. His plan is going pretty smoothly so far, but the problem is, Seung-ho needs to be wary of certain behavioral patterns of the other goblins. To his shock, our boy faces an interesting situation. The hobgoblin faces him while the gold goblin runs away with the loot, implying that they had a fallout. This is bad news for our boy, who now has to employ an emergency gamble. His immediate problem is Captain Mustard gaining up on him with speed. Seung-ho genuinely has no other options here, so he does his best to block the forceful smash. Even after blocking it, his body suffers the shock of the attack and smashes into a tree. Seung-ho is now trembling and wounded. Things are really looking bad for him. The hobgoblin wastes no time in finishing him off. If our boy goes down here, he knows he's mega levels of cooked. The mace blitzes full speed in his direction with the aim of smashing his brains out. Seung-ho's health decreases in that key moment, activating his critical skill survival instinct. Flashing a yellow glare, this man responds to the hobgoblin's attack at point-blank range. Instead of attacking the monster, he races after the gold goblin, an excellent move. Thanks to the gun he obtained from Kyung-jun, he aims it at the creature's head and blasts a headshot, killing the gold goblin immediately. Right then, he calls for the dimensional gate. Seung-ho has achieved the first phase of his farming mission, but there's still a problem he has to deal with, that being the hideous monster coming after him. Our boy brings out his gun to a melee fight and starts shooting the creature down. The hobgoblin can't withstand the might of the American-style breathing technique and gets mogged. Seung-ho pays back the hobgoblin with double the love by slashing the creature all over its body in style. The hobgoblin screams and dies, increasing our boy's level to 6 and netting him 16 points. At last, his difficult quest is over. He checks on the new skill he gained called Terrain Sense, which allows him to sense and respond to surrounding terrain. Interestingly, just like last time, any items that he used or held ended up upgraded and turned into actual items. Seong-ho can't waste time because he realizes that a search party is coming this way. Having acquired what he came here for, our boy manifests the dimensional gate and walks inside, knowing that he just has to rest in his hideout until the search party is finished. The following day, Seong-ho is woken up by everyone's favorite dog. He checks his watch and realizes that he actually slept for an entire day because of his injuries. Knowing the risks of survival instinct, Seong-ho intends to use it only in extreme situations. Before going out on his next mission, he's curious about the loot he grabbed from the gold goblin. He pulls out all the stuff and lays it on the table. There's a bunch of revolvers, a dagger, and some other stuff. These goblins were the best when it came to this stuff. Seong-ho is fine with the revolver, but the real prize in his eyes is the mithril knife he snagged. This baby is a weapon with permanent invariance, a rare thing in the game. It's one of the only weapons out there that won't be affected by the incoming disease catastrophe. But the one question that bugs him is how a goblin was able to obtain such a rare item that costs a whopping 100 points in the shop. Inspecting every inch of the blade, Seong-ho realizes that it is flawed and imperfect. During his contemplation, he reaches an enlightenment. The goblins of this world carried metal weapons. Because of their intelligence, it's not possible for such creatures to make them on their own. This begs the question, did a sudden mutation occur and change the course of their civilization? This meant that even smarter goblins were out there experimenting like research goblins. However, this theory is baseless for now and our boy knows it. He wants to test it later, but for now, he's more interested in unpacking the tiny satchels. Hitting the lottery, Seong-ho pulls out a bunch of shade grapes. This unique fruit enhances a person's night vision. Carrying them also makes sense because it's the one reason that these goblins can easily move at night. Popping open the status window, our boy inspects his growth rate. He's pretty happy with what he's got, because his current growth rate is faster than what it was in the game. With the basic stuff concluded, Seong-ho knows it's time to return to the real world. Invoking his ability, he crosses the portal while scrolling on his phone. His phone is buzzing like crazy the moment he gets his signals back. Hyungjun, Mikyoung, and even Suyeon have all texted to check on his status. With the kind of attention bro is getting, he's starting to wonder if he's the cool guy now. First, he wants to head over to the fitness center. So in the next scene, we find Seong-ho popping the door open to meet his friends. Before he could even greet them, they ran towards him, happy to see him in one piece. And yes, the one piece is real. Never forget that. Curious, our boy asks about the rest of the unfamiliar faces. Hyungjun brings them forward, introducing the new guys as his party members. Lee Kyung-hoon and Kim Bora greet him nicely as they exchange pleasantries. Seong-ho expected at least one more party member, but it turns out that this person is busy purchasing camping gear at the discount store. Our boy is astonished to hear a place like that exists, causing Mikyoung to intervene and confirm that it's actually super modern and opened recently. Jimbro asks if our boy's up to date with the incident on the news, to which Seong-ho agrees, stating that he's all caught up on MeTube. Maybe we should make a channel there too. The same doctor who took apart the goblin's body from Gyeosan Mountain went into a state of panic and warned everyone to prepare for the coming apocalypse. The president of the country also held a national meeting, announcing how they're trying their best to confirm the location of the creator of the game. Hyungjun wonders what Seong-ho's next big goal is. The whole party is gathered here all because of our boy's rich knowledge of the game. Kyung-hoon is a little ticked off that Hyungjun is still seeking advice when he's already told him that goblins obviously give points. So if an awakened person killed a monster, they would just jump from level 1 to 2, so the objective would be to stock up supplies. Now my man is watching this dude talk absolute bullshit out of his ass, not having any idea of how wrong he is. Addressing him, Seong-ho reveals that all of that is wrong. This lousy prick cuts our boy off by asking if he's played the game, acting like a stubborn Redditor who can't even listen to another opinion. Seong-ho maintains that he hasn't to hide his identity, but that's enough for this guy to yap and deal the killing blow that trusting the community blindly isn't wise. Bora, the other girl, turns to ask this guy a question. She's really curious about the process of zombie spores and quizzes him to learn how the infection spreads. She also demands for any conditions involved in the process. In response, this dude ridiculously states that anyone who has ever made contact with an awakened person wouldn't become a zombie, which is the strangest response ever. Slamming the table, Kyung-hoon gets up to maintain his high ground just because he has become an awakened himself. He thinks his experience is everything, and even if casual non-awakened players interacted with him, they'd automatically become safe from the spores. It's a whole lot of nothing, but Bora is somehow easily convinced and holds on to him like he's some kind of expert. Then comes Mikyoung with her own question, asking if this guy has cleared the difficult tutorial. Kyung-hoon cuts her straight off again, emphasizing that he'll protect her so there's nothing to worry about. This pretentious douchebag is agitating in Seong-ho's eyes. He gives Kyung-hoon some level of credit with his theory, but also understands that there's absolutely zero evidence that grants awakened people complete immunity from the spores. Seong-ho thinks this whole conversation is dead because of one dude, and finally understands why Hyungjun called him. Forgetting about this troll and his antics, our boy gets up to leave, even though both his friends urge him to stay. Seong-ho has no interest in sharing his knowledge with a troll like this guy. so he bids them farewell with the intention of meeting again later. After leaving the fitness club, he crops out a bunch of places to farm points before the iron disease arrives. Seong-ho's interested in the camping gear store his friends told him about. Eventually, after all his plans, he stood in front of his house, only to spot the elegant Soo-yeon. She actually had something to give him, and was patient enough to wait. Soo-yeon whips out a first aid kit, but really it's a pack of painkillers and some other antibiotics that can never be bought without prescription. It's a special gift. Seong-ho is really stunned by her gesture. The doctor also ends up revealing her address, but she's already done the part of writing it down in the pouch. Again, our boy's confused why she's doing all that, but this cute doctor thinks it's only natural that she shares her location in return for knowing him. By the way, I'm Team Soo-yeon because Mikyung just seems like an off-brand Cha-hain like I said earlier. Bidding him farewell, Soo-yeon hastens for her appointment with the director. As she's walking away, suddenly she remembers one last thing. Soo-yeon smiles and reminds him to pay for the medicine. She gave him the address for a reason after all. After hearing that, Seong-ho is dead lost. He just can't figure out Soo-yeon's intentions, or read her behavior at all. With their parting, time flew by. During those hours, our boy walked all over the city, collecting different stuff from different stores. Then he went on to create a proper storage facility, and after adding sandwich panels, he was ready to load some of his stuff inside. Remember that mini excavator that he booked? Seong-ho began using that to the max for his construction work. Eventually, the state of the world grew more climactic. Chaos from the public, jumbled politics, arguing over the truth, and skeptics going back and forth. All of these factors led to an emergency meeting with the UN, talking about the President of the United States' plans to visit Korea. And at long last, the HSA sensed something that they couldn't have fathomed ever before. On top of everything that was going to happen, the asteroid to kickstart the zombie era was blazing its way to Earth. 4 days later, Seong-ho finds himself at the Gamcheon port, staring at the luscious oceanic scenery. This is where the final backstory or precursor event called the Russian ship event will take place. After making sure that absolutely no one was around, Seong-ho entered an abandoned building to make last-minute preparations. Here he casts open the gate, explaining his reason to come here despite the high probability of becoming a zombie. He wants to obtain a bunch of different guns from the ship. The thing about zombie spores is that they're pathogens in the form of particle beams. It's not something you can easily avoid. Becoming a zombie here or 5 days later didn't make a difference at all, especially not to someone who didn't live with his family. Seong-ho understood that he could always live in the other world with Dingo, but then his life would have no meaning to his existence as a human. Wrapping up his preparations, he gets to work, clarifying that he isn't out here for a suicide mission. He's just making a choice many others would never be brave enough to make, a choice of choosing the high road for a higher gain. That's what life is anyway. Seong-ho checks the patch notes about this part of the story and assumes the 10-point weapon is an ebony club, but it makes him wonder how weak the state of the zombies will be at this part of the game. There will also be point influences after the asteroid's arrival. The details are written with so much confidence that it's certain that the game creator knew all of this would happen. Seong-ho was on his phone when the situation got worse. He receives an emergency text regarding a tsunami warning linked to the third precursor phenomenon. In the next scene, the water touches the shoreline, going higher with every pulse. Out in the ocean, there's a ship that is literally being tossed with the waves. Seong-ho realizes that the water has flooded the city, and now he's left with the choice of beating monsters or zombies. Watching the ship closely, he shares how hopeless natural disasters made humans feel. Still, he had to operate in this level of chaos and make his next move using his boat. Seong-ho runs at full speed while supporting his craft, before jumping straight down a building, knowing he is short on time. He needed to resolve all of this before the arrival of government agents. Sometime later, he anchors himself with the ship. So far, things are okay. The thing about Awakeners is that they don't become zombies, which means Kyung-hoon was surprisingly right about his theory. In fact, our boy doesn't even feel an annoying sensation. That's good news already, so he climbs the ladder for the second phase of the plan. Here, zombies are lurking about on the ship. He calls for them and draws their attention. Bro has come here in shorts with a shield and a mace looking like a Power Ranger. The zombies in the game were always special in their properties. Because of the game, they couldn't spread the virus, but they treated everything around them as prey. They also had a propensity to become stronger with more nutrients absorbed. Seong-ho charges right back at the zombies and smashes one of them with his shield. After tackling the first one, he takes his mace and begs the zombie to brace its jaw. And then this man goes on to give him really good plastic surgery by smashing his face. With how easy these two went down, Seong-ho wonders if the zombies were nerfed too hard. He gains 2 points, and remembers how it required at least 2 or more hits to kill a zombie before, but not only needed one. Remembering what happened with the orcs, he refuses to let his guard down. Making that kind of mistake twice was going to cost him his life. Next, Seong-ho checks on the hallway and finds a bunch of zombies trapped inside. Some are walking around, so he quickly goes up ahead and starts bullying them left and right. Seong-ho's goal is to find a pistol, so he sets his sights on the wheelhouse. But then he hears a gunshot, shocking him completely. There's no way someone managed to survive the zombies of the ship. Rushing towards the source of the noise, Seong-ho admits that non-awakeners are randomly lucky after coming in contact with awakeners and surviving the spores because of them. His priority is to save this person so he can get more information. But the moment he arrives, the poor guy is already dead. This person has a picture of his loved one in his hands right before he died. Naruto Uzumaki couldn't become the 7th Hokage in this universe, but it's a great help to Seong-ho that he could take this guy's gun for himself. Then he lays him out flat for a proper rest and exits the room. Being accustomed to tragedy is something Seong-ho needed to get used to, as it will become commonplace after the tragedy. It is natural that he would have to kill people of his own kind just to maximize his own chances of survival. While he's untying the anchor, Seong-ho astonishes himself when he sees someone jet skiing on the side. This means that just like him, another player is here to farm points. They cross paths, but our boy exits the ship with what he needs. He doesn't care much about the person going there at all. The following day, it's early morning when the news starts talking about the disappearance of the game developer. No one can find this guy for answers, and ever since the president received proof of zombies, he's been taking decisive action non-stop. To summarize, Seong-ho thinks that the leader of their country thinks in a very similar manner to him. Remembering one last thing, our boy calls Lee Woobyum, the administrator at the countermeasure headquarters. Immediately our boy drops the bombshell of the exact time of the doomsday to begin. To confirm his identity, Seong-ho mentions the gunshot wounds he inflicted on the hobgoblin. Woobyum is startled that this is actually the same player. Our boy makes him write important details at light speed, mentioning stuff like the exact date, the exact hour, and even the situation of a package arriving in the afternoon. Seong-ho hopes that the countermeasures department does well with this new information, and he wishes them great luck for the war to come. The president pulled off quite the decisive move. People on the forum community began to realize that the situation was getting worse and worse. Internet and electricity wasn't going to last long, though Seong-ho could only take these opinions with a grain of salt. He's unsure if all of this is really going to happen. But then an announcement is made, informing citizens to prepare a good amount of food and water for 4 days and return back to their families. The military is actively patrolling and demanding the people to stop all activities immediately. A proper statement will be issued by July 20th. Seong-ho observes all of this and thinks that this is the perfect response. He feels bad for not informing the people sooner about the state of the world to come. If he had only known how well the government would have handled all of this, then he would have gone all out from the beginning and exploited his trait. It seems like a huge miss, but Seong-ho copes by admitting that he still wouldn't have been able to stop the disaster. There is no point for him to dwell on what could have happened, only that he must remember his own promise. First of all, he's not some hero of justice, nor does he want to be. He's just an ordinary guy. Afterwards, we learn that the lockdowns and quarantines shook the state of the world and made it impossible to navigate. That's why Seong-ho spent his days in the other dimension. 3 days before the start of the apocalypse, he finished digging, but at a slow rate. He also chalked up all the videos he saved up regarding cooking and farming, because the internet won't exist soon enough. 2 days before the apocalypse, he scouted around the area with Dingo, and felt lucky finding a few golden apples. This made him wonder if this whole place was enchanted, and if it was blessed with being a fertile land. One final problem came up a day before the apocalypse. Apparently, Seong-ho found 2 packs of sweet potato jellies missing from his storage. There's also a dried grape here. The obvious assumption is that Dingo ate the jellies, but the honest dog shakes its head and denies his involvement. Seong-ho takes a teasing and forceful tone to get the truth out of him, but this poor little baby wails around, crying to prove its innocence. Smash a like on this video, justice for Dingo. Seong-ho now understands that it wasn't his little furball, but someone else. He decides to check the CCTV footage just to see what really happened. Seong-ho checks his laptop, astonished to discover a bunch of beetles invading his place through the doggy door. They took the jelly and left the grape as a payment. I don't know about you guys, but that is the cutest shit I've seen all day. The beetle even turned to thank the camera, signifying that these little guys are tremendously smart. Seong-ho's curiosity is getting the better of him, and now he really wants to interact with a couple of these guys. Just to be safe though, he locks the doggy door, much to Dingo's sadness. Our boy can't spend more time here in this world because of a few guests soon to meet up with him, so he opens the dimensional portal and goes back. In the next scene, Seong-ho is sat with all prominent party members and his friends, surprised that they all made it safely even with the lockdown. He spots an unfamiliar face again and learns that the new guy is the final addition to the team. This charming Prince Charming is Yuhyun, and he's already awakened. Unfortunately, he doesn't know much about the game, but he is an electrical engineering student, so he's got a lot of hands-on experience. Seong-ho loves this guy's addition and introduces himself as a non-awakener. Both are very polite when meeting each other. Anyway, Seong-ho wants to wrap up the important stuff quickly. He wants everyone to go through any information they have one by one, starting with Jimbro Hungjun. Walmart Yuji over here starts off by sharing an experience about his ex-wife. They were talking when the line was cut. Worried, he went searching for his daughter, but on his way back, he spotted a bunch of barricades being put up on the highway. According to his investigation, Hyungjun learned that they were trying to evacuate citizens near the petrochemical complex. It's the elegant doctor's turn next, who shares one piece of important information. Soohyun saw a shelter being built in the local park, which is shocking to witness, but it's actually true. Mikyung's up next. She was at the mart when she heard something about high-ranking officials opposing the president's decision. Apparently, the protesting officials were all detained. All of these findings are way more valuable than Seong-ho initially assumed. The ending was approaching, and the president's stance was pretty clear. He knows what's going to happen. So the big question is, why did he start off asking one by one? It's because in a network, it's important to have corresponding reasons according to someone's information. He could very well expose himself as a veteran and persuade them that way, but that would put him in great risk personally. Seong-ho starts talking, urging everyone to listen well to what he's about to say. Then he boldly declares the president's ultimate goal of creating a controlling apocalypse. His words immediately stun every person in the room. Seong-ho backs up his logic by mentioning the unexplained lockdowns and how all national facilities went to a halt. There's only one reason why the government would make such drastic changes in such a short amount of time. Soohyun puts two and two together and realizes that the end is near. She catches on quickly and deduces that the government is already confident of the exact day the apocalypse will unleash. Seong-ho confirms this and dubs July 20th as the suspected day. Panicking, Yoo-hyun gets up to inform his family, only for our boy to shout at him. He doesn't want these losers to lose their minds. Even if it sounds cruel, individual survival meant infinitely more than one's family. Seong-ho coldly reminds every person in the room that any one of them could turn into a zombie starting from tomorrow, so the terror of death is looming over all of them. Addressing the main point, he pulls out a bunch of files, acknowledging the real reason he called them here. It's because he's got a strategy for the tutorial phase, as well as detailed info on the survival aspect. Hyungjun questions his source of information, prompting Seong-ho to respond that he's watched the streams. He even apologizes to Mikyung for lying all this time, but she's fine because she did the same to him. But thanks to these files, the information can be used according to their needs. At the same time, Seong-ho begs them to follow the manual strictly just to clear the tutorial phase. After their meeting, midnight followed. This was going to be the final day of the world knowing peace before being sent to hell. Seong-ho had prepared for 32 days straight, leveling up in every domain to better his chances. Still, he thought there were imperfections, and that his anonymous status could easily end up in his own downfall later on. Even then, this valiant young man has no regrets, having made confident moves. Seong-ho watches his country launch missiles towards the approaching asteroid, coming in contact with the foreign object. He wonders if the end of the world is truly the ultimate unavoidable fate for humanity. The apocalypse has officially begun. Morning came and alongside, the lockdowns disappeared. All prep work by Seong-ho was completed. He installed bulletproof glass and high-strength durable doors. Then he followed the usual routine of injecting a small amount of poison, honing his resistant capability. Then this man did a workout, and I'm not bullshitting. He's doing 300 one-arm push-ups while being poisoned. Saitama cannot compete with this man's work ethic. Seong-ho switched into combat gear, looking fly as hello, then shared breakfast with his doggy. He waited for the announcement at 9, dozing off even. Suddenly the hour came and the television came on. The president sat to announce to his citizens. An overwhelming announcement declaring martial law, closing roads among other things. Seong-ho was so moved and impressed with the president's decisions that he thinks no other man could have possibly given their country a better ending. Seeing this sad state of him, he clutches the remote, unable to accept the ultimate end. Still, it's not like this fate can be avoided. It's something that humanity has to endure and survive. Only this time, Seong-ho won't be new to the apocalypse, but will enter it like a veteran who knows it all. 4 hours remain until the spores make contact. 2 of them were spent in the other world where he checked on his warehouse farmed items. Here, our boy set up equipment for the days that will come after the iron disease. Well, while he was spending time in the other world, humanity fell. Chaos rampaged as people hurt each other. Fights broke out between civilians. Nobody cared about anything anymore. This fatty was even hanging around with his butt cheeks out. He was ready for death, and a car hit him to send him to hell. Some people enjoyed killing others without remorse. The world was coming to an end after all. Side note, I'm really curious about how you guys would have handled a world-ending apocalypse like this. Tell me in the comments below. The blonde punk was behind the wheel and didn't even give a damn that this dude died. His friend thinks it's fine to get rid of the car because the iron disease is going to wipe out all vehicles soon enough. The other guy points his bat towards the rooftop, calling out the loser who's spying on them quietly. He has personal feelings towards our boy, and he wants to farm Seong-ho for points. Seong-ho doesn't get why this guy is acting all high and mighty, but he does spot flyers popping from the sky. Even at the edge of the apocalypse, the government is worried about its people. It's amazing to see them caring about others. Unlike Seong-ho himself, who is ruthlessly selfish about personal survival. He knows that if more people acted for the interest of others, the apocalypse would be easy to deal with. Crushing the paper, he reflects on how this is an unrealistic standard. All he has to do is get back to his preparations. In the next scene, hardly 3 minutes remain until the spores make contact with the world. Seong-ho has collected a bunch of air tanks and wonders if there'll be enough before the disease takes over. He's already memorized every single route when it comes to replenishing his goods from the city. Looking at his watch makes Seong-ho wonder what would happen if he forgot to take it off. At this point, even he knows that he's worrying too much. So he keeps things simple and puts on the helmet. It's 1 p.m., so the spores have now made contact. Seong-ho resolves himself, kickstarting his bike and hoping that everything goes according to his plans. The scene shifts to the rise of the infection. The spores have begun affecting regular citizens. Life is sucked out of the people, and eventually flesh-eating corpses are all that's left. These growling purplish monsters are drawn to a certain noise. Seong-ho is racing full speed ahead against some of the zombies. Much to his surprise, there aren't that many in this area. It's a good thing, because most of the people who turned into zombies ended up staying home, dying alongside their families. The only part that intrigues him is to find someone who didn't turn into one. Still, things aren't looking bad. He sees a clear path ahead, taking a shortcut, knowing that it's better to avoid zombies while he's busy farming. The good thing? The stores still have the shutters up. This makes it easy to shatter the glass using his sledgehammer, which he does before going inside. Seong-ho commands the portal, knowing that he has to make quick moves. He grabs whatever he needs, knowing that it's going to take a while for the spores to fully mind control the zombies. His best bet is to raid the hardware store before that coordinated zombie assault begins, which would help him avoid any fights. By the way, our boy is currently tossing everything he can get his hands on. Bro floods his dog with a swarm of medicine. With the pharmacy fully raided, Seong-ho checks on his progress and realizes that he's actually moving much faster than he planned. Or so this dude thought, because the moment he arrives at the hardware store, he finds double layers of security. Again, he knew this would happen. That's why he brought the tanks with him. Seong-ho turns on the focused heat of the oxygen cutter. One small problem, this thing is way too loud, drawing surrounding zombies. Just taking one look around, Seong-ho remembers that even though their tracking senses were nerfed in the game, it only took them a few moments to locate the source of the noise. An entire horde had cornered him, spelling his doom.